Well, welcome to our Friday webinar series, Lunch and Learn. This is sponsored by Firstperson Services. We're so glad that you're here. My name is Roy Gerstenberger from Firstperson Services, and this is the Communication Chart webinar. All of our topics in the series are about the skills that make up the person-centered thinking approaches that were developed by the learning community for person-centered practices. I'm a member of the learning community as a mentor trainer, and this webinar topics all of them are offered basically as an introduction. Hope that you've seen some of our others on matching support and learning logs. It's been a lot of fun. So this isn't really a training in itself because the person-centered thinking skills altogether, there are about actually 11 of them. They're all covered in a standard format, which is a 12-hour introductory workshop. And that's given by the learning community has put together. And that's the standard way of learning the skills. So what it does is through that workshop, you're given experience, actually trying them out. You do a person-centered description. You see how the skills connect with each other so that you can help people have positive control over lives that they choose for themselves. So the communication chart is among those skills that you'd learn and practice in the introductory workshop. We'll have more information about how to sign up for those or participate in those. We have a learning community in New England that we're building and we're expanding. We're looking to offer workshops and also credentialed trainers so they can give the workshops in organizations and in their area. So there'll be more information, including the contact information for First-Person Services at the end of the webinar. I hope you connect up with us. So let's move ahead. It's lunchtime. Congratulations, you've made it to Friday. Grab a sandwich, open up your Tupperware and enjoy it, and we'll be spending about 20 minutes today. Starting off with an introduction on the communication chart. So as I said, there are 11 skills that are covered in the person-centered thinking introductory workshop, and they're organized in groups. There's a discovery and learning skills. If we're going to be personalizing services and supports to people, then we need to be good at listening and learning. We need to be good students. We need to look at all opportunities to discover what's important to them, and we also engage in everyday learning skills, things that we embed into our practice to make sure that we have a disciplined approach to always be looking at new information and always trying to have a current understanding of what's important to somebody as well as what's important for them around health and safety, and keeping that in balance. And there are certain skills that relate to how groups are managed and how we organize teams and how we work together to make sure that discovery and learning happens and that we're learning every day, and that we honor the contributions that direct support staff offer. They're the creative force, the people who spend the most time with those that we're committed to supporting. And so they have a lot of information. It can go a long way to being really important members of a team that's trying to build a person-centered approach. So the communication chart is in that one section around discovery and listening skills. Without a doubt, we need to listen to how people communicate and know that that is something that we can leverage and really focus in on to make sure that we're providing a quality of life. So having the power to communicate and make decisions is central to people having choice and control in their lives. So let's figure out ways to be disciplined. Let's figure out ways to have habits that really focus in on listening to not only words, but other ways that people communicate. So how do we start? If we want to really understand the unique ways that somebody communicates, oftentimes it's the people who are closest in their lives. So the relationship circle is another skill that we learn in person-centered thinking, where we really explore and understand the people who are closest to a person but in their lives one way or the other, either as family or friends or people who are paid to support someone at school or at home. And we all have these folks in our lives. And it's the folks, when you think about in your life, it's the people who you have the most successful and closest relationships with, who really understand that you communicate in a certain way, right? And that they don't rely just on your words. Sometimes they're the ones, your closest friends or your partner will say, something's on your mind. You're troubled about something. Tell me about that. And your first reaction might be, no, I'm okay. And then you think about it, well, actually, yeah, there is something that's been bothering me and I haven't realized it. Let me tell you a little bit about it. So we look at somebody's relationship circle, and these are folks that we can ask them, can we talk to them? And because we'd like to have some conversations with them, some branching conversations where we really explore what are some things that you've discovered that are kind of unique ways that this person who is in your life communicates. So look at the relationship circle in order to identify who should be the informants around. I didn't mean, that's a Doctor Who. Yes, wrong slide. I hate it when that slide goes that way. Anyway, look for the folks who are in someone's life to find information that can be organized in this way. This is how communication charts are put together. Easy to read. That's one of the key points around person-centered thinking skills. How can we organize what we learn about somebody in a way that's quick and easy to communicate with others so that we can be good learners? And often people who need a lot of support or have long-term support, they have a lot of people in their lives. So making sure there's consistency across people who are engaged in support is critical for quality of life and also for person-centered approaches. So take a look at this. There are 4 columns. If we organize a communication chart in this way, we have 4 columns. Let's look at them individually though. So what we're looking at is when I do this is from the perspective of the person that we are focusing in on here. When I do this, it usually means this when it's happening in certain circumstances. So when I do a certain action, it will mean something depending upon where it's happening, right? So having that information gathered and communicated here is important. Then finally, this is what I want you to do. So let's take a look at some examples, if that'll help us understand this a little bit better. So let me share with you an example of a person I knew whose name is Howard. And so if Howard is talking rapidly and repeating the same word, that should say word. So he's talking rapidly and he's repeating the same word over and over again, and he's in a crowded room where there's more than 3 people. It usually means that I'm anxious and excited, and what I want you to do is help me to get outside, 5 minutes alone, decompress. What's going on is Howard's telling us, and we consistently recognize that when he's in a crowded room of more than 3 people and he starts doing this, there's sort of some emotional flooding that's going on. It means I'm anxious, I'm excited. Please, here's how you can help out. So that's how I'm communicating through this behavior. Jane is another person I knew. This is actually when I was working with somebody who was in assisted living. Jane was, I think, 86 when I knew her. And we were putting this communication chart together. So I'm repeating what I said to you, or asking, who are you again? And this is with Jane, and it's after 4 p.m. And when that's happening, what it usually means is my memory is fading as the day goes on, after 4 o'clock. What I'd like you to do is tell me who you are and be patient. If you need me to decide something, though, try tomorrow earlier in the day. So when that's happening, please don't present some serious stuff around decision making. Go with the flow. If you don't mind reminding me who you are, that's great. So that's what we understood was going on with Jane, and this was very helpful. And we knew that it wasn't meaning other things, and we were able to organize her day in a certain way. Jerry was a gentleman who needed assistance in positioning, used a wheelchair, and there would be different places that he would like to hang out in the house. And so the team recognized here that when Jerry, my voice rises in pitch and I'm making a crying sound. That's the best way they could describe it, sort of crying. And this is happening. I'm sitting in the blue recliner in the afternoon for more than 15 minutes. So if it's going on a certain time and we're hearing, I'm Jerry and my voice is going up in pitch, it usually means that there's something pitching me. So if you could go check, reposition me, check for bunched up towels. The towels were used to help position him in a certain place, and if they get bunched up, that's usually what's going on. So he's communicating there. That's what we wanted to let people know. So I hope that that's something that intrigues you and you'd like to explore more about. A person-centered organization has communication charts for staff, right? There are certain things that you do at work that communicate, and your best colleagues and best supervisors figure that out. Wouldn't it be great to have that written down and have people know that, not having to discover it by trial and error? But let's cover some 4 key points. We like to do that at the end of each one of these skills. So it's not about changing behavior. This is not a strategy for this is not antecedent behavior consequent in order to improve or change or modify something. This is about honoring communication, honoring the communicative value of how people act in the world. And to know that often when communication is noticed and responded to, it becomes more complex. So for example, that example with Jerry, the high-pitched and crying and so on, we use that as a basis for developing a communication, basically a pad that he was tapping on. And I don't want to go that fast forward. So he started tapping on signs. So they could actually distinguish, because there were some other times when we wanted him to be able to communicate and on other things. So anyway, we moved in that direction. So this is all about listening to behavior. And responding to it. Often, I want to go to this previous point, often when communication is noticed and responded to becomes more complex, I also just want to emphasize that oftentimes what I've seen or what I've recognized is that people who have had a diminished life experience where there hasn't been a lot of responsiveness to what they've been doing, notice when their environment is more responsive and reactive, and they have more power in the world. So it goes to this last point. One measure of quality of life is just the experience of I am being heard. My presence makes a difference. I am being engaged with as an equal. That's a very powerful and important and critical foundation for person-centered approaches. So I hope you try this out in terms of, just thinking about this. If you'd like to learn more about how you can learn through opportunities of engaging in the workshop, there's several that we are doing, and we'd love to have you participate. So communicate. If you want to learn more about the Learning Community Person-Centered Practices, please go to our website, tlcpcp.com. It's got some cool stuff. And let us know how it goes. Give me a contact. As I said, I'm Roy Gerstenberger from Firstperson Services. So my email here is roy@firstpersonservices. And you can text or call me, 802-777-9456. Really pleased about, oops, I didn't update this. We have a webinar coming up in March. Really pleased you could join us today. Love spending time together, and Hope you enjoyed it as well. And I will say adios. Happy trails, everybody. Bye-bye.